Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for an exciting Cunard webinar. My name is Anna. I'm an Industry Relations Specialist here at CLIA, and I'm going to just quickly go through some housekeeping before introducing our presenter. This webinar will run about 45 minutes with time for questions at the end. Please feel free to type your questions into the chat module of the webinar, and we'll get to them at the conclusion of the presentation. This webinar is being recorded and will be posted on CLIA's YouTube channel, which is CLIA Global. With that, it is my pleasure to introduce our presenter, Steve Smotrese. Steve is the Director of Sales for Cunard North America. In his 17 years in the cruise industry, Steve has led teams in various areas such as market planning, revenue management, and shore excursions before coming over to the sales world. Steve is passionate about sharing the brand story and likes to say that with Cunard, there's always a great story to be told or written. His own goes back to his senior prom, which was on the Queen Mary Hotel in Long Beach, California, so you could say he was destined to represent the brand. With that, take it away, Steve.
Well, thank you, Anna, and hello, everybody. I hope you're all having a great day. Now that things have calmed down after the midterms, hopefully things calm down a little bit. But I appreciate all of you taking time out of your busy day to spend some time with me and to learn a lot about Cunard and what's going on. There's always so much to tell when it comes to Cunard. And since we do multiple webinars throughout the year, I do a lot of the same content because, I want that general understanding of Cunard to be conveyed out to you, but I also try to add some new content. So if you've been on one of them before, there will be some new information as well. So let's go ahead and jump right in. And I always like to start talking about the Cunard history because it is something that's so significant and to this brand. We've been around 178 years, and not only been around that long, but also been an innovator in this industry, been an icon to travel in general. And Cunard really kind of transcends beyond the travel world as well. When you consider had a role in people immigrating to North America. One of every 5 people who did so on a Cunard ship. The role that Cunard played in the war, in different wars, transporting troops. So Cunard really has this interesting story in how it connects to people, and it really connects to, I think, the North Americans in so many interesting ways. But today, very contemporary brand, relatively small fleet of only 3 ships. We do have a 4th ship coming in a few years, and I'll give you some more information about that to come. But very contemporary luxury brand, offering something very different and unique than anything else out there, but all the modern amenities you could ever ask for on a cruise experience. So, we are in the luxury segment, and I think luxury, especially those of you who are out there who are luxury advisors, I think we've all seen that the luxury landscape has been, it's always evolving, but I think in particular in the last 5 years, we've really seen it change a lot. And we see it happening in particular with a lot of luxury or luxury iconic brands. So, for instance, an example here is Gucci and what they were doing about 10 years ago, their ad campaign, and now how that's changed to today and how they are representing the brand. This is today, what kind of ad. So, it's very interesting that the look and the feel is very, very different. And there's a lot of these other heritage brands that similarly, this is how they looked way back in the day. Brands like Burberry and Rolls-Royce and Bentley, Coach. And look at the ad campaigns, their look and feel. So Cunard, similarly, we want to stay relevant. We want, right? So, and there's so many advertisements out there that are, showing beautiful ships, and there are a lot of fantastic looking ships. But, our feeling was like we don't want to just kind of blend into the background. We want to really show off our brand and do something a little bit more stylized. So wanted to share what our new ad campaign, maybe some of you have seen it. We are putting them in magazines maybe you wouldn't expect, like Vogue. But, again, we need a little bit more stylized, a little bit more showing a little bit of the wit that goes, I think, along with the Cunard brand. And we're talking about the brand in a very emotive way. where we're saying now when you're on board, you're going to feel special, you're going to feel inspired, and you're going to feel free. And and I think these are all things that people crave. It resonates with everyone to have these kind of feelings, to feel special. And when you're on board Cunard, it starts with our White Star service that I think really makes people feel special in a lot of ways. We have a really for a large ship experience with a fantastic ratio of crew to guests of 2 to 1. And then our Signature Cunard Experiences, I think these are like our Gala Balls, and I'll talk about those in a little more detail. But Cunard really is unique in creating this sense of occasion on board, which I think really makes people feel special. And a lot of guests out there are looking for that when they are taking their vacation. Here's another one of our ads. I love this. This is doing a little bit of a play on we have the largest libraries at sea. And it's one of these old traditions, today of reading a book. But of course, she's got her martini close at hand on the stack of books. Again, being a little bit of playful with these ads, which I really, really love. So the next one is feel inspired. A big part of the Cunard demographic, or I should say psychographic really, is those guests that are looking beyond a vacation. They're looking for enrichments. They're looking for opportunities like that. And this really fits into our Insights program, which is our lecture series. And every single Cunard sailing, you're going to have 4 to 6 lectures on board. They come from all walks of life. They're all experts in their field, and they're all very dynamic speakers, which, I think really whatever they're talking about, it makes the subject matter come alive. And you will notice in our theater where we do the lectures, it is standing room only. You got to get there early to get a good seat because it is such a big part of the Cunard experience. And then finally, feel free. And I think this really talks to luxury guests that today are looking for that flexibility. They don't want a rigid experience. They don't want to be told what to do. They want to be able to do what they want to do when they want to do it. So Cunard, we're really creating that flexibility to give different people options. So much to do on board. You're never going to feel bored. I think we'll get into transatlantic crossings a little bit more, but I think that's an occasion where people think, oh, I don't know if I could do a transatlantic crossing. That's a lot of sea days, 7 days at sea without a port. But you'd be surprised at how fast the week goes because there's so much to do. And even when it comes to dress, and I'm going to get into that a little bit more detail, because I think people unfairly lump Cunard into this category that like, oh, it's too stuffy. I'm always going to have to get dressed up. And I'll talk about kind of the flexibility and the freedom that goes along with that as well. And of course, this is probably one of my favorite of our new ad campaign, playing up the whole gala evening. And again, our butler or bellman in the background, helping her get ready for her evening. Again, very stylized, but I think it plays well to kind of the Cunard experience. So why Cunard? So many different reasons why. It is a very unique vacation experience. And as you notice up there, it says Cunard is a unique vacation experience at sea. The word cruise isn't even mentioned because I think we fit into this unique category. Yes, it's a cruise, but we have the only ocean liners carrying passengers today. It's a throwback of kind of the way people used to travel, a much more kind of civilized way. And I think it really, again, kind of transcends cruising. It is a different experience. But some of those reasons why Cunard, the White Star service, which is a staple of the Cunard experience, as I mentioned, the Signature Cunard Experiences like the Gala nights, iconic journeys to, and I'll get into destinations a little bit more, but places even like Alaska where we haven't been in 20 years. Unique special event cruises like our photography themed cruises and our wine themed cruises. And then escaped uncrowded places. Our ships are large, but the passenger to space ratio is very large for a large ship experience, so you're never going to feel crowded. And just the freedom of choice, time to yourself, and a very distinctive feel of how our ships, the craftsmanship and the design, harkening back to the Art Deco look and feel. As I mentioned, Signature Cunard Experiences, and those are, again, our iconic ships. We have some of the most famous ships that have ever been built, including our current flagship Queen Mary 2. She is a very, very special ship. But things like, I already mentioned the White Star service, but our grill suites where you have butlers that'll take care of your every need, afternoon tea, English pub, just all these things that really make Cunard unique and special. Now, getting again into the dress, again, it's not stuffy. During the day, it's completely casual. As you can see, people, this is a good representation of how people are dressing throughout the day. T-shirt, flip-flops, it's all completely fine. There is no dress code during the day. Now, in the evening, we do have a dress code on certain evenings, but I always say it's good to put it into context. Let's see if on the next slide, we'll talk about it a little bit more. So our formal nights are what we call gala evenings now. And the reason we call them gala evenings is because it's not just about getting dressed up for dinner. Every single formal night has a theme ball attached to it, our gala balls. So one night it could be a masquerade ball. Another night it's going to be a roaring 20s night. Another one it's a black and white. And yes, people do get dressed up, but it's not, I don't think, as intimidating as maybe, everybody thinks like, oh, I got to wear a tuxedo every night. The gala nights are really on a 7-day sailing. You're going to have about 3 gala nights. That's typical. The required dress there is men dark suit, does not have to be a tuxedo. Ladies, evening or cocktail dress, smart trouser suit, or formal separates is fine. So really, when you kind of read it that way, not that intimidating. The reality is you will see a lot of tuxedos and you will see a lot of ball gowns, but you're going to, if you dress to these way we've described it here, you're going to fit right in. You're never going to feel underdressed. Now, our non-gala nights are what we call smart attire. Now, the picture in the slide right here is, I think, a good representation of what smart attire looks like. For men, we still require a jacket, but no tie. You could have actually some rather casual trousers, but if you got that jacket on, as you can see the guy right there on the left, he's got a sweater, pretty casual sweater, but he's got that jacket on. And I think that's what kind of makes it. So really isn't that intimidating. Actually, it's very much more relaxed. Now, say regardless of the dress code for the evening that you really don't want to get dressed up, well, we do have alternative options now. Let's getting ahead of myself here. We do have alternative options now. Our casino, our Golden Lion Pub, Corinthia Lounge on Queen Mary 2, and our nightclub, which is G32 on Queen Mary 2, and the Yacht Club on Queen Victoria and Queen Elizabeth. These are every single evening. These are completely casual venues all the time. You can wear jeans, a casual shirt, sneakers, and you'd be completely fine. Always say is no shorts. So, it really does create that flexibility for your guests if they, they're like, well, I don't know, I don't want to wear, I don't want to get dressed up in the evening. I think just having that option in their back pocket that if they don't want to get up, they don't have to, really kind of puts their mind at ease. Now, the reality is when they get on board, they're probably going to get caught up in it because there is really a lot of, I think, energy that really kind of feeds into those gala evenings. So chances are they'll probably get on board and want to do it. But hey, if they don't, they do have those options like the Golden Lion Pub that you can go and have great entertainment all night. You can have a pub dinner and just be relaxed if you want. So we do have those options. As I mentioned, the Gala Balls, these are a couple of pictures I took when I was on in July on Queen Victoria. And as you can see in those evenings, that room, and this is our Queen's room. The Queen's room is really kind of, it's one of the entertainment hubs of the ship, I would say. And this is where the Gala Ball really comes alive. And as you can see, we changed the decor for each of those evenings. So the banners and the colors and everything is geared towards that theme ball that evening. And people really love it. We have the largest dance floors at sea. And especially on those gala nights, as you can see there on the left, that dance floor gets crowded. But it is a really fabulous and unique experience for sure. As I mentioned, there are casual options in the evening, including the Golden Lion Pub. Now, the pictures in the middle, again, are pictures I took when I was on Queen Victoria. This is rather new that we have this Gastro Pub dinner option now every single evening. Really great options. The food is fantastic. So, your guests do have some alternative options if they want to have a casual dining experience in the evening. We've really changed our bar concepts on board. Some different ones, including our midship bar here, which we call the Gin and Fizz bar, where we have 40 different gins to choose from and a lot of different signature cocktail drinks. And we also have 3 signature gins that are named after each of our ships. Now, again, when I was on recently, of course, I had to try each one of these gins. And it's so interesting. If you're a gin fan, each one is very distinctly different. I think gin is always kind of thought as a kind of a very similar taste across the board. Each one of them is distinctly different. But it was a really fun concept. You can do this gin fizz experience where it's about an hour and a half where they give you small bites to eat. They show you how the gin is made, how they make some of the different cocktails. It's a really fun experience. And these are pictures I took again during that gin fizz experience. And we've got fantastic bartenders who just really make the experience come alive. So really highly recommend that as well. I mentioned our insights experience on board is really special. That starts with our lectures, but I think it really extends to a lot of different experiences, like things like there on the far left, we have Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts comes on a lot of our sailings, and they do acting lessons. Things like we have the only planetarium at sea on Queen Mary 2 there, that picture in the middle. And then again, unique experiences like fencing lessons that we do on all of our ships. Um, Really, all these things are unique experiences to Cunard. Now, I mentioned briefly about our special event voyages. We're doing more and more of these. They've become very, very popular. This is just some of the example. I mentioned like wine theme, which we call the Voyage Divin. Space Week we celebrate on a transatlantic crossing where we have people from things like astronauts. We have one of the heads of Virgin Galactic comes on board, NASA scientists, and a lot of the lectures are about kind of the space world. Transatlantic Fashion Week, where we have speakers from the fashion world. We have models on board doing runways. That's been one of our most popular transatlantic crossings in recent years. Big Band Ball, where we have a full 15-piece orchestra on board. These things are very unique, and they are just an extra layer of entertainment on board, on top of our already fantastic entertainment that we have on every single sailing. So from a lecture standpoint, a lot of times we'll have lectures from these worlds. The additional lectures, we'll still have our general lectures that are covering all kinds of different topics. But then we'll have, again, like for the Fashion Week sailing, we'll have speakers from the fashion world in addition. So the special event voyages become very, very popular. So I urge you to take a look at the whole list of special event cruises on Cunard OneSource. We do have Canyon Ranch Spa. We were the first ones to have Canyon Ranch Spa on board. It was always on just Queen Mary 2, but we are adding that to Queen Elizabeth and Queen Victoria as well. Really excited about this. We think it's a fantastic partnership of that fantastic brand of Canyon Ranch. And now having that on all 3 of our ships, our spa facilities are fantastic. Everything kind of treatment you'd want, all the kind of modern amenities that you'd want in a spa, and all that is managed by Canyon Ranch. Now, I would like to talk a little bit about our new ship that is coming in 22. Right now, we're calling it Project Halifax. We have not named her yet. That we are in the process of talking about different names at this time. Hopefully, we'll have in about a year, we'll have an announcement of that. And it's probably the number one question I get because, Cunard is some of the most famous ships ever. When you think about the original Queen Mary, the QE2, the Mauritania, and our current flagship Queen Mary 2. These are some of the most famous ships to ever carry passengers. So the name of what that next Cunard ship will be is it's a hot topic, and I get approached all the time. So hopefully in about a year we'll know. But to give you a little information about the ship, she's going to be about 3,000 guests. That will be our largest ship from a guest standpoint. and I think that that sounds like a lot, but really when you compare it to all the ships that we have out there in the industry now, it's still, I'd say, kind of medium size, because we have so many large ships out there. As I mentioned, from a guest standpoint, she will be our largest ship, but from a size standpoint, Queen Mary 2 is still our largest ship. Um, this new ship will be about 113 gross tons. Queen Mary 2, believe it or not, she's about 150. She's a really, really large ship, and that's because she is a true ocean liner. Her steel is much thicker. Her hull is a lot bigger. She sits a lot deeper in the water. So she is very, very special. And she carries about 2,700 passengers. So that gives you a little bit of context there. But we're really excited about this. As we get more information about the ship, we will be sharing that, and so excited about that opportunity. Now, she is going to be designed by our creative director, Adam Tihany. And Adam recently also designed the two new Seabourn ships, and Seabourn is also part of our family of brands, our world's great world's famous cruise lines. And so he did a fabulous job on the Seabourn Ovation um, and Encore. I had the pleasure of being on Encore last year, and it is such a beautifully well-appointed ship from an interior design standpoint. So we're really excited about having Adam come over now and help us with the next generation of Cunard ship. And you can see some of the other properties and that he's worked with. So really, really excited about having him on board as being our creative director. Now, I always like to kind of share for you to give you some tools to help you sell Cunard. There's different ways you can position Cunard. Again, very unique, and I think it creates some interesting selling opportunities that are unique to Cunard. So, Transatlantic crossing in particular, it is a great option to package with land. A lot of people don't want to fly. It's a great alternative to flying. It's a great way to, especially if you're going to do some sort of land-based vacation in Europe, to take a nice leisurely crossing over. Once you arrive, there's no jet lag because we've adjusted the clocks an hour each day. And a lot of our partners that are really successful in Cunard have had some really good luck doing this. But it is an all great alternative to flying. It's connecting these two very iconic cities, of course, in New York City and London. For guests, as I mentioned, looking for that sense of occasion, or if you're celebrating something like a milestone birthday or an anniversary, something like that, family reunions, Cunard really provides a fantastic venue for celebrating something like that. As I mentioned at Trans Cruising, a lot of people love the idea of retracing going back in the footsteps of their ancestors who maybe immigrated over to North America, crossing the Atlantic Ocean. There's something very, very, I think, profound about that. I've done a couple crossings, and I also had ancestors that came over by ship, and it really, I think when you're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean on Queen Mary 2, it is very, very powerful, and you do feel that connection to your past. Great bucket list experience. Anybody who loves cruising or is a fan of maritime history, I think it's an amazing bucket list experience. And again, a great opportunity for affinity groups and multi-generational families. For affinity groups, so whatever their activity might be, we've got great meeting facilities with all those sea days. It gives them an opportunity to do whatever it is that that group's connection is. I mentioned our grill suites briefly. They are very, very special. This is our Queen's Grill is basically our suite experience. Our Princess Grill is basically our mini suite experience. But each one of those has their own private dining room, and it is very much an elevated dining experience when you're in those, in particular in the Queen's Grill, because it is really kind of anything goes. If you don't see anything on the menu you like, you can order off the menu. So, and we have grills suites that are up to 2,400 square feet, an apartment duplex that is really, really, really huge. So, you know, there's these great accommodations, great dining experience, and then you, of course, have the access to everything else on the ship that is available to all guests, all this great entertainment that only a large ship can provide, great lounges, great restaurants. So there's a lot of different options when it comes to the Queen's Grill, and it is a true luxury experience in every sense. Here's some of the amenities that you do get. If you're in the Queen's Grill, you do get a butler. That butler will take care of your every need. They are amazing. They take so much pride in what they do. They'll do things like unpacking and packing for you. So they really do take care of your every need. And then just some of the other great amenities that you get for being in the Queen's Grill. It is White Star at its finest, really, really going above and beyond for those luxury guests that are really looking for that attention to detail. One of the really interesting and fun dining experiences that we have on Queen Victoria and Queen Elizabeth is this alfresco dining option in the Courtyard. Now, the Courtyard sits in between the Princess Grill and the Queen's Grill restaurant. So those guests can dine out here on this patio. And as you can see, it's kind of sunken into the ship, so you're not going to get the wind or anything like that. And it is such a fantastic setting for a really nice dinner or lunch. Really highly recommend that if you are dining or if you are in the grills. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit now and talk about itineraries. And I'd like to start that by talking about Alaska. Now, this is special for us because we have not been to Alaska in 20 years. It's been a really, really long time. And so we're so excited to be returning up there. We know that there's so much product up in Alaska. It's how do you differentiate it and put your guests on the right product. Well, Cunard's doing something a little bit different. 2019 will be our first year up there. And we're starting off small. We're going to do only 4 sailings the first year. And then in 2020, we're going to do a full season. So, but starting with in 2019, 4 sailings starting May 19th and into June. Now, these are different, very different in that they are 10-day round trip out of Vancouver. The itineraries are very port intensive. So we're going to 6 different ports. All of those ports are full calls. Even a port like Victoria, which typically is a half-day stop, and so that's going to be a full-day call. And then we go to 2 glaciers as well. So really fantastic itinerary. We think guests are really going to be blown away by, you know, Cunard bringing that little something different to the table up in Alaska. Now we've also partnered with Rocky Mountaineer to do pre and post rail experiences to Calgary. We think these 2 brands match up really, really fantastic together. Some of you maybe have experienced Rocky Mountaineer. I have not, but I have heard amazing things. Travel advisors come up to me all the time and say, "Oh, we're so excited that you've partnered with them because they are such a natural fit for you guys." And so we think this is going to be really, really exciting and adds, again, something very different to an Alaska cruise. Here's some different reasons why your guests might want to consider Alaska on Cunard. Again, iconic ships. Queen Elizabeth will be our ship up there the first year. Spacious grill suites, our famous White Star service, of course. Again, Queen Elizabeth, perfect ship for Alaska. Very robust itinerary, again, 6 ports and glaciers. And what I didn't mention is we picked when we're going to be in ports to be the least crowded. So sometimes we're the only ones in port, or other times it's just not as many ships. So we think that's going to work really well. As I mentioned, plenty of time in port. Extend that adventure and do that rail experience with Rocky Mountaineer. And it is really a great value. I think a lot of times people don't think they can afford Cunard, but the value proposition to get a luxury experience is really, really fantastic. Now, I want to share some highlights. We just came out with our 2020 program release. So for those of you who have not already set up groups or you haven't gotten around to kind of seeing the itineraries, I'm going to give you a few highlights so you can see what's new and what's going on there. So starting with Canada, New England, this is a trade that we are growing a lot. We've got more sailings in 2019 than we had before. We're adding even more in 2020. And we have some really interesting itineraries there. Just some highlights, as you can see there. We go all the way up into Quebec. We do Canada, New England sailings over the 4th of July, which is really special, where we end up being in New York City, or I'm sorry, in Boston for the 4th of July. So that's really fantastic. But we've got some really fantastic itineraries there that I think your guests would really be interested in. And these are on Queen Mary too, which makes it that much more special. Also in 2020, as we do every year, we're doing our Transatlantic season. So those are the dates that we'll have for Transatlantics. We'll have a number of our special event cruises on these. But it is a special experience being on a Transatlantic. So I think, the best way to really tell the Transatlantic story, and I know I've talked a little bit about it, but I'm going to show a video real quick. If this is a testimonial video that we did recently, where we did a combination of some guests who have done Transatlantics before. We have one person this is their first cruise experience, and just others that they had just come off a Transatlantic experience, and so they all have some different perspectives. So I'm going to play this video, and I hope you. Oops, wrong one. Here we go.
Since I was already in Europe, I wanted to find a really fun and exciting way to get myself back over to New York from London.
This was my first time on a ship, and people did ask me why I was starting with a transatlantic crossing and not just a weekend Caribbean cruise.
My mother and her family took the Queen Mary and the Queen Elizabeth to Europe. Growing up hearing her talk about this amazing trip, I'd always heard of Cunard and the Cunard Queens, and when I could, in 1998, I took my first transatlantic crossing on the Kiwi 2.
Just remember that first view of the ship. It's just glorious.
Just to walk on that ship for the first time, the massive scale, she's just a magnificent liner. She's not a cruise ship, she is a true ocean liner.
And then when you enter the area, the vestibule, they have lineup of Cunard employees in their dress outfits to greet you, and you do feel really Hollywood.
I expected it to be a very elegant experience, and it certainly lived up to that.
It's a 5-star treatment. This is a 5-star floating hotel.
You really feel special. They treat you like everyone's in first class.
The service doesn't change according to the level of the cabin that you're on. It's consistent throughout the ship, and they call that Cunard White Star service, and it's outstanding.
There's something to be said for the luxury of familiarity and excellent customer service, things that you know, but you have the excellent opportunity to experience something new every time you get on that ship.
You can't fill up 7 days with the amount of things there are to do on the ship.
There was plenty to do during the day. We've had lots of relaxation time. We went to the spa.
Every 10 to 15 minutes, something new is starting from sunup to sundown every day.
I didn't feel this need to get off at a different port and visit a city. I was 7 days on the ship. I had loads to do. I could relax when I wanted to. Food available all the time. Entertainment, shows, insight program, educational programs.
There's something for everyone.
It's been lovely. The food, the drink, the people, the atmosphere.
As a solo traveler, every time you take a transatlantic crossing, you could be anybody you want. When I pull on my beautiful red ball gown, I am a Hollywood star.
Being able to dress in formal wear for dinner a few times was lovely.
But if you want to be casual and you don't want to dress up, you don't have to. You know, we're such a small little speck on that vast ocean. It just makes you reflect.
And it forces you to get to know yourself better and your traveling companions better. It's unique, and I would encourage everybody to try it.
It's a trip of a lifetime. I challenge anybody to try to just do it once. It's very addictive.
And cruising is something which really gets a grip of you.
There's no better way to get back and forth across the ocean, and if you're even considering it, I say just go for it.
And you won't regret it. The only regret is, why didn't you do it sooner?
It's been an experience I won't forget.
So I really love that video. I think it really talks to it from a lot of different perspectives, those different guests, and again from their eyes. It is truly special. You know, it surprised me. I've been in the industry a long time, and first time I did a crossing was about 5 years ago, and you know, and I talked about it a little bit, but it is different and distinct and special. It stands out. It's so it is really unlike anything else out there in the industry. So, you know, I think there's a huge audience for it. It's probably our best-selling product here in North America. So, you know, you definitely have some guests in your database that will be interested in doing a transatlantic crossing. So as you can see, as we do every year, we've got a number of those crossings on Queen Mary too. So look for those. Moving on, we have a fantastic new Japan group of sailings that we're excited about. This is going to be Queen Elizabeth and a number of different itineraries where we're really going to be doing a lot of very immersive experiences into Japan. Also in Australia, Australia is a big growth area for us in 2020. We do source. We're a very international brand, so to give you a little idea, we typically get about half our guests from the UK, about 20 to 25% from North America, and then the rest of it is really kind of sprinkling all over the world. But we get a lot of Australians and a lot of Germans as well. So we already do pretty well in Australia, but we wanted to grow the offerings down there. So in 2020, we've got some really fantastic itineraries that are really kind of part of our world cruise, and we segment all of our world cruises. So, you know, our world cruise could be anything from a 5-day segment to a full world cruise in 120 days. So some of these are segments of those world cruises. Again, just kind of give you some tools to help you. Our combinability of offers is very, very rich. You know, I always say, you know, there's no risk to opening up group space, because even if you book one person, they're going to get the benefits that go along with that, and then you can combine it with all these other things. So our limited time offer is combinable. Everything outside of final payment, those are all combinable. If you're a World Club member, those get discount combinable. As I mentioned, the group amenities, cruise sales. We have a really rich cruise sale program that includes an onboard credit for your guest, as well as a bonus commission. Also our military benefit, which provides a great onboard credit. And then if your guests who are sailing put down a future cruise deposit for a future sailing, it's fully refundable, no risk, and that's another onboard credit. And so all of these things you can layer on top of each other, and the value proposition becomes very, very rich. Highly recommend doing our academy. The graduation present, if you become a Commodore, is a free cruise. So really great opportunity to really get on board and fully experience the Cunard experience firsthand. But just the information is really fantastic, and you'll get a lot out of it. So highly recommend going to the Cunard Academy, and you can access that through Cunard OneSource. Also would like to encourage you to follow us on Facebook. Our Facebook page is there. It's at Cunard NAM Sales. Now this is travel advisor facing only. We put this together about a year ago, and we've been putting more and more content out there. And we know you guys are bombarded with so much email, so much information. So the Facebook page really creates just this opportunity, this channel that we can communicate you in different ways. We'll give you all of our latest limited time offers, selling tips, give you information about the Cunard experience, interesting things going on board. And then, just kind of showing from our sales team some of the different things that we're doing. We do some fun videos. I work closely with John Trineski, Fizz Cruises. So him and I do some videos together. We just have all these really fun things that we're doing. We've had some fantastic feedback. So if you're on Facebook, highly recommend checking it out. One thing that we did as a big promotion to kind of get our followers up a little bit, as we said, if we get to 1,200, I have agreed to spend the night on the original Queen Mary in the most haunted cabin, which is called B340. Now, B340 was closed, shut down, boarded up for 30 years because over the years, the Queen Mary got so many complaints, people would check out early because of supposed disturbances. So we did hit the mark of 1,200. We're actually closer to about 1,300 now. So on November 16th, we're going to be doing some Facebook Live and things like that, as myself and a couple of my colleagues are going to be down there and experiencing B340. So another little carrot for you guys to maybe go and check out the Facebook page. But again, we got great information out there, and that information is all for you, our travel agent partners. And with that, I want to thank you for taking the time today. I want to thank you for your partnership. And I'm going to kick it back to Anna to see if we have any questions.
Sure. Thank you so much for that, Steve. And I'm actually really interested in that haunted cabin. So I'm interested to
I'm
update.
interested too. I'm a little nervous, I will admit.
Yeah, I would be
see.
too. Hopefully you all come back in one piece.
Yeah. Well, again, we're going to be doing Facebook Live, so you'll all get to witness it firsthand.
Perfect. Well, it is time for questions. So we do have a couple already, and I invite everyone to just type any questions that you have into the chat module. We'll start with our first one from Carol, who is wondering if there are any children's activities.
That's a great question. A couple things I didn't, in the interest of time, that I didn't talk about. We do have full children centers. We have for 3 different age groups. So for the little ones as young as 6 months, and then for kind of the middle, I think it's from 5 to 10, and then we have a teen center as well. So we don't get a ton of kids on board, but during the summertime we get a fair amount. But we do have full kids programming, including we have night care, where if the parents want to go out and have their night out of town experience on board Cunard, and Cunard really does provide, especially on gala nights, a night out of town that their kids can be looked after as young as months. The other thing I didn't mention is we also have the only, not to lump it in with the kids, but we also have the only kennels at sea. So on Queen Mary 2 for Transatlantic crossings, you can bring your dog or cat. The kennel experience is amazing. I think the dogs and cats are treated as well as the guests on board. But they've got their own private deck where they can go and run and stretch their legs. They've got a playroom, and the kennels are highly popular. If you've got a client that is interested in doing this, you're probably looking at a year or more out. The kennels book very, very quick.
Amazing. I didn't know that was an option. I know that a lot of our agents are always interested in whether the ships are ADA compliant. Can you speak a little bit about that?
They absolutely are, in every way, shape, and form. We have great ADA cabins. We make sure that everything is very accessible throughout the ship. So that is anytime any of our ships are built, they are built with that in mind as being a high priority. Nothing I kind of want to mention that I didn't get to before, and you saw in the video there was a solo traveler on board. We do a lot of mixers and event activities for single travelers, and we have single staterooms as well on all 3 of our ships. So I think you've probably also seen it's growing. People are much more willing to travel on their own. I've done it myself a number of times. It's a very different travel experience, but I think that population is growing, and so we're trying to cater to that as well.
Okay, perfect. And then just to close this out, I'm wondering if you have any sort of insider tips and tricks for our agents, sort of what you see your most successful accounts doing to sell Cunard.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, the Transatlantic crossing in particular, it's a great thing to pair with something else. So I've had some advisors tell me that a lot of luck pairing that with land-based in Europe. A lot of them have luck pairing it with a river cruise, believe it or not, where they're able to match up itineraries and then they'll get over to Europe and they'll do a river cruise. And also there's a lot of different rail experiences like the Belmont trains, like the Orient Express. We're talking to Belmont about, maybe how we can, partner a little bit. We haven't been able to get that going, but we definitely have some travel advisors that have been able to package that together and make that work really well. Again, a large audience that does not like the idea of flying. It's such a leisurely way if you've got the time to get over to Europe. There is something that's really, really fantastic to be able to arrive to Europe and have zero jet lag and just be off the ship and ready to go and do whatever your next adventure is. So those things should really work really, really well. As I mentioned, affinity groups work extremely well because, especially the Transatlantic crossing, you have all those sea days. So we get a number of those as well. And, again, people looking to celebrate something, milestones. Nobody creates a sense of occasion or a special feeling on board like Cunard does. So it is so perfect for those kind of celebrations. So I highly recommend if somebody comes in and says, hey, we want to do a cruise for, our 25th wedding anniversary or something like that. Throw Cunard out there as an option because it really does create something that they may be looking for.
Perfect. Those are all great tips. I think we have one more question coming in from Tasha, who is wondering what the process is to create a group cruise.
Pretty simple. You can really do it on Cunard OneSource, that is our travel agent portal that we share with Princess Cruises. So you can log into there and do it yourself, or you can just call into our customer service team and they can set it up for you. Again, it's no risk. I really think it surprises me sometimes when people haven't set up groups because, even if you don't use them, there's zero risk. Even if you book one guest, they're going to get whatever the amenities are that you set up for that group. So, I always think it's just such a no-brainer, and just adding to that value proposition.
That sounds easy enough. And our next question is from Carol, who's wondering if there are areas that an affinity group could use privately.
Yes, absolutely. We have a facility called Connections. It is very versatile. It can be made into a small room. It can be expanded to be a very large room for a different group. We get things like bridge groups on board. We get like corporate groups and things like that. They want meeting space. It's very versatile. All the AV needs you would ever need. We can accommodate you there. Dance groups, that's another one. They may do the practicing down there so that they can go and do their ballroom dancing in the evening. So we really have flexible, versatile meeting space called Connections.
Okay, perfect. Nicole is wondering if there's a ship inspection coming to New York City.
Great question. Yes. Most times when our ship is in port and we get a home port in Red Hook in Brooklyn, right, really, really close to me. Most times when we're there, we do have ship inspections. So if you are interested in that, you can reach out to your local business development manager, which is typically the same one that you have for Princess, if you're unsure who that is. If you If you don't know who that is, shoot me an email. My email address is ssmotrys@cunard.com, and we'll connect you. But yeah, if you're in New York City and you want to do that, highly recommend it to get on board Queen Mary 2 and really see, touch, and feel her. Like it really, I think, brings it to life a lot more.
All right, perfect. And I just shared Steve's email with you guys in the chat if you guys want to write it down for your records. And I think those are all of the questions. If not, if you have some later, feel free to reach out to me or to Steve. I'm sure we're both happy to answer any questions that you may have. And I just want to thank Steve so much for your time and for this presentation, and thank you everyone for joining us.
Well, thank you, Anna, and thank you everybody for taking the time today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, have a great day, everyone. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.